Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Derp Your Hooves. So, today, I'm actually going to have fun in this little third-party airplane. Now, you may notice that it looks a lot similar to like that other little seaplane that Asobo gave us for free. It's pretty much the same thing, except for it's a little more home-built, and this is the SeaRay Elite. It is a third-party aircraft, but it's a whole lot of fun to fly. So you know what? Let's go derp our hooves today and go get flying in this little boat plane. So she doesn't go too much above 90 knots. And it is a boat plane, and it is a tail dragger, by the way. So it'll get away from you on the runway. But then she just kind of floats up. Just like that. And we can bring our gears up. So I would say, Pony, why aren't you focusing on where you're going? So, again, this is a fun little airplane. And it's an ultralight, and I believe it's also an experimental aircraft. And I don't know if you remember that I was talking about in another previous video, getting your private pilot's license. And all the different ratings that you can get with that. So, let's back off on the throttle. Let's not overspeed it. So, we can get into that in a minute, but this would be one of the aircraft. Let's bring our flaps up. This would be one of the aircraft I believe that you'd be able to have with a private pilot's license with an experimental rating. You might say, well, that doesn't do me any good. Well, so I would say that, some people can't get a, single engine FAA pilot's license where they could fly, say, like a 172 or maybe like a Beechcraft Bonanza, or anything larger than that. You say, well, 172 really isn't that big of a plane. Well, this really isn't that big of a plane either. But there are certain requirements for getting your FAA license, your pilot's license, and some of them happen to be your physical health. Now, not everybody was born or kept their wonderful physical health, and the FAA says, much like the Department of Transportation would say, if you don't meet certain requirements, we're not letting you in an airplane. Just like the Department of Transportation would say, if you don't meet certain requirements, we're not going to let you drive a commercial vehicle. So, and you'd say, but why? I don't understand, because I can drive a car. No. You might have something say like, I don't know, diabetes. You might say, well, that's not fair. Well, luckily for you, there are certain health conditions that you can have waived, and you usually need a doctor's note, and it's a whole different rigmarole, and you may even require legal counsel to go ahead and say, hey, you know what, I'm physically fit to fly a plane, and I pinky promise that I won't crash my plane falling from the sky due to health reasons into someone's living room. Now, the same can't necessarily be said about the future of flying cars. That's why I always say flying cars are coming to a living room near you. But in order to get a private pilot's license, you actually have to be in somewhat decent health. free of a whole bunch of, ailments that might cause you to fall asleep or stuff like that. So I guess pretty much enough about that because I don't want to bum anybody out. Like I said, don't give up on your dreams if it's really something you want to do. Then go for it and do your best. Because as some people have said, hey, well, there's pilots that don't have limbs that fly planes and they're flying, general aviation planes. And how can you fly a plane, say, with your feet and still have a private pilot's license? Well, I don't know. You'd have to go find that information out. I just do know that the FAA is kind of like, we like to have all of our body parts here. And we want to make sure that all of your internal organs are working well. So, just to let you guys know, flying is fun. And for some of us, as I had said, it could be a physical condition. It could be the fact that, flying an airplane as a hobby. You're just like, well, hey, I don't want to fly as a professional pilot, and I don't want to own my own airplane. And I would say, well, you don't have to. There's workarounds for all of it. Trust me, I've done lots of research on trying to actually get a pilot's license. And it's not that you can't. It's that some of us also can't afford it. So you could, belong to an aero club and where you all share a plane, and that's, it's much less expensive than owning your own and keeping all the maintenance up on it yourself. So that's kind of my pony rant for today with that. Anything is possible. It's just that flying is very expensive as well, especially with the cost of fuel constantly going up. And I'm not going to get into politics or this or that about why and who. And, so aviation fuel was always more expensive, and it's going to be more expensive as automotive gas is now more expensive. So, flying it's an expensive thing. So it's not for all of us. It's not for all of us financially, perhaps. And I'm sure there's plenty of pilots that could say, I just can't afford it today. I got to make my house payments. I've got to pay my rent. I got to make my car payments. Major shopping holidays around the corner, and my kids are going to be really upset if I don't get them something. My wife, my husband might be a little upset if I don't get them that little something that they wanted, and I've been saving for it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go take a spin for, 2 hours in the sky instead. So, not all of us can afford to fly a plane. So, anyhow, the SeaRay. What is this, like the SeaRay Deluxe or something? Anyhow, it's the SeaRay. So this is a fun little plane. And like I said, this was one of the ones I think that's on the list of experimental aircraft that you could fly. And it's going to be limited on range in real life. And it is a real aircraft. You might say, oh no, it's made up. No, it's a real aircraft. And experimental aircraft can be fun too. I mean, look at this thing. It's like really, really cool. Now, again, it only flies at 90 knots. So there's helicopters that fly faster than this. And obviously it's not an all-weather aircraft. And it looks like it's VFR only, which means visual without instruments. I'm not so sure about that, but, and it doesn't look like you can fly it at night, because I've tried it, at least in the sim, and this version doesn't have any kind of really good lights. I mean, you can, have that nifty little head flashlight, it seems, that they give you in the sim, and you can fly with that. but the gauges themselves don't really seem to light up. So, you know, this would be a fun thing to take a spin around, say, New York, you know, for the day and, you know, say, I think we're just going to fly from here to there and we're going to land, you know, in the ocean. You know, or maybe a nice little small body of water. Because you can in this. So, this is definitely a fun little plane. And I know, you know, I've been doing a lot of helicopters lately because that's been a big thing. I got totally sidetracked. There were all these third-party aircraft that came out that were so cool. And I was like, wow. Like this one, for example. And I was just like, wow, it looks so cool. So, there's lots of fun if you just enjoy flying. And by the way, I haven't done the gliders yet in the sim, but, you know, this is kind of like a glider. So let's bring our airspeed down really low, because I got a feeling that we're going to crash into something. And then Pony's going to have to end the flight. Let's see how close we get. Might not make this one. Might be a little bit of bounce. Let's drop those flaps all the way. And it looks like we're still too high. But I don't want to stall her. And seaplanes are fun. They actually require a whole different level of skill. Seaplanes bounce, by the way, if you bring them in too fast. They skip like a stone across a pond. Come on. Let's see if we're going to skip. I think we skipped a little bit. And there we go. And there's our SeaRay in the water. It's kind of a big wake behind it, but there we go. We landed. We landed this little mini-me plane. And it's got some cool features, like it comes with a tent. You can actually take this thing and pull it up on land as you come in. It's amphibious in that way, that you can actually not leave it in the water. And the sim lets you kind of drop your gears as you get closer to shore, which we're not going to do in this flight. And then you can bring it in, and it's got this really nifty little tent. See, I can take my mouse and it says tent and chair, and you can sit in your virtual tent and chair and chill and have s'mores and beer. I don't know if anyone actually, you know, has s'mores and beer. I don't know if that's a good combo. S'mores are good, and, you know, my beer drinking days are over. But, you know, maybe someone's like, s'mores and beer? I think I'll go try that. And, well, kids, you know, s'mores and hot cocoa, not s'mores and beer. I'm not promoting you guys to go out and get in trouble. But Pony said if you're under 21, you have hot cocoa or coffee or a glass of milk with your s'mores when you're camping. And if your dad gives you a beer, you just don't say anything to Mom. Okay, so there we are. And, you know, we're pretty much in the lake. So I'm actually just going to take this thing for a nice little spin, and you guys can come with me. If you want to end the video now, you're more than welcome to end the video now. You know, it's only been about 15 minutes. But this is pretty much it. This is the SeaRay. And it's pretty cool. And let's see if we can't just open the canopy. How do we open the canopy? Click there. You know, and if I don't kill the engine, it's just going to kind of tote along. And, you know, it's not really what I look like, but, you know, I don't know if I'd want to look like that. And it's got the little Rotax engine, I think. And what was the other one? There was like the something, like the one or the... man, I can't remember the name of it. But the one that comes with the sim, and it looks just like this, and it's pretty much the same plane, except for that one's more high-tech, and it has landing gear. Well, this one has landing gears that retract and extend, and they're both amphibious, so they're both pretty much the same plane, except for this is a little more, I don't know, I'd say like boutique style. It's a little less, modernish looking. It looks like, it's got our old, kind of canvasy wing, which it might not be. That could be metal. But, fun little plane. I've definitely been enjoying it. Again, like I said, I'm not being endorsed by anybody to, promote products. That's a discussion that developers can reach out to me if they want and say, hey, Pony, I really, really like your videos, and I think it would be cool if you could promo some of my stuff. And like other developers, I'd be willing to give you, free versions that you can keep for yourself. But for now, Pony will just spend his own money on his hobby and, make videos. And you guys might be like, hey, well, that looks pretty cool. I want to get the SeaRay Deluxe, right? So, as Pony sometimes does, he didn't quite like the New York City SeaRay video. It just didn't quite come out right. And I'm just not going to post it immediately after this SeaRay, but I am going to make another flight and then post that. I just didn't want you guys to be disappointed and say, well, where's part 2? So I just want to let you know that part 2 is coming either later on this week or next week. So I just wanted to say to everybody again, thank you for watching Derp Your Hooves, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.